This is KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green. Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa with us again this week. And this is, it is, if it's another week, it's another concert.
Yeah,
You're practically doing shows on a weekly basis.
You're seeing a lot of me this week. I'm sorry. No, but thank you for having me again. It's going to be quite a weekend for us.
Well, we're in the midst of a run of several great concerts. The 1001 Arabian Nights a couple of weeks ago. I was there for that. It was wonderful. And you had said this is going to be not only a showcase for the piano. Your guest gave a virtuosic performance, but then you said it's also going to really spotlight several of our own members of the orchestra, and it totally did that.
It was a concerto for orchestra, and in particularly, it really highlighted the skills of our amazing concertmaster, Don Gingrich. That's just one of the great violin solos. You've heard me say this time and time again, but I am just so proud of this orchestra, and I like to brag about them, and I feel like a proud papa because they are just so unbelievably good, especially in these past 3-4 years.
The upcoming concert is, it's kind of, I'm going to say the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well,
but it is, you're definitely moving in the direction of more pop, more pop music. It's kind of, sometimes you would call this a pops concert.
Yes,
you guys
and no.
You guys don't have that differentiation like a lot of orchestras do. But it's the music of John Williams.
It's the music of John Williams. I even brought my program here because we're doing so many of the great hits that I know that we would forget some of them. But I as I was putting this program together, I was just dumbstruck about how amazing his career was. And so we'll be playing selections from Jaws, which really started his career. Superman, of course. Music from Schindler's List, Hymn to the Fallen from Saving Private Ryan, 1941, Raiders of the Lost Ark, oh my God, Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, E.T., and of course Star Wars. And it just goes on and on and on. And I think one of the reasons why people in general love this music, I can speak for myself in that I am the first musician of my generation who was turned on to classical music because of Star Wars. I am that old because it just completely changed my life when it came out, and I know that generations after me are still in love with that music. I know that audiences just not only love the films, but the music that John Williams was able to write had a lot of staying power because it is so well crafted. It doesn't need the visuals. When I play movie music from lesser composers, it sort of meanders and doesn't go anywhere, and it cries out, you need the visuals to make sense of it. But with John Williams, it is musically strong enough that it can stand on its own. And one of the other great things about it, it's so well crafted that everybody in the orchestra gets a taste. It's very virtuosic and very difficult to play.
So it's not like... It's not easy.
Oh, it's not easy at all. As a matter of
and the orchestra doesn't roll their eyes and go, yeah, this is the stuff we have to do for the unwashed masses.
No, they are far too busy panicking. The entire brass section, I think half their face is going to be on the floor by the end of the night because they are playing at so high and so loud for a really long time. The string passages are nothing short of concerto-like for the entire orchestra. It's really difficult music. But also what gives musicians a snicker in a good way is that one of John Williams' great strengths is that he was a shameless plagiarizer and a stylistic comedian, and he was able to choose and pick from styles that were absolutely perfect for the requirements of what was happening on the screen.
We've talked many times about different pieces that you've programmed for the orchestra, and you've if I had $1 for every time you've sat in that chair and said, well, this is one of the inspirations for John Williams doing this.
You could make a whole program out of that, and I didn't want to entirely go that direction because there's just too much great material that John Williams wrote. But towards the end of the program, we're actually going to play some music that ultimately found its way into Star Wars. Not just the concert composers like Gustav Holst or Richard Strauss and Aaron Copland, but there is also a lineage of other film composers like Max Steiner and Eric Korngold that John Williams also grew up studying and knowing their works. And so it's really funny when you bring out some of these obscure pieces that probably not too many people have heard, and you're going to hear the kernels of what was to become the great score of Star Wars.
One thing is I actually wrote an article on the music and science fiction for an online magazine a year or two ago. And when I was looking into the compositional style of Star Wars, they talked a lot about the leitmotifs, which is where each character gets their own theme. And this is really common in classical music.
Yep.
I don't know up until Star Wars if it was something that people were, aware of to the extent that we hear it now. I mean, is that something that he kind of pioneered in this realm?
Well, certainly its roots go back to the turn of the 1900s with opera, but then his predecessors like Max Steiner and Eric Korngold started doing that, using those same techniques, but certainly John Williams was really the first to really employ that to a degree where most everybody understands and realizes what they're doing. And I would say that's sort of a lost art, because when I see modern film tracks and listen to them, not so much. They don't use that technique nearly as much, unfortunately, because we all know the love theme, Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker.
Well, and
even in Superman and all that stuff, he really knew how to do that.
And if you think back to the very first Star Wars movie, and the very first appearance of Luke Skywalker on the screen, you get the first few bars of what would come to be known as Luke's theme.
Right, exactly.
And at the time you first see that, you don't think much of it.
Right.
But then when you see the movie again, because of course everybody has seen the movie hundreds of times, it's like,
yeah. And what I found really interesting is as the other episodes came after the original, when you hear Anakin Skywalker's theme, how it gradually morphs into Darth Vader's theme. I mean, this is such great geek stuff to talk about. But this is sort of the reason why musicians love this kind of music. It is incredibly well crafted. The orchestration is flashy and wonderful. Audiences love it. It's just, and we're doing it at the old Paramount Theatre. So what could be
which started off as a movie house.
Exactly right. So, I mean, where else could you do this with such great effect?
Obviously, you are, as we all are, just familiar with, every note of this, and you more than anyone else, because of course you've played it, you've conducted it, all of this. But when you put a program like this together, is there anything that causes you to anything you never noticed before, or anything that surprised you? As do you, when you dive into these scores, getting ready to conduct them, do you see new stuff?
I see new stuff, and I continually marvel at his orchestrational technique. To the layperson, orchestration is how you make an orchestra sound. You can give the same musical material to two different orchestrators, and it'll either sound great or lousy, depending on the skills of the person. And every time I delve into the music, I think to myself, I wish I could orchestrate like this, because everything he touches just sounds so great. And even though the music stands on its own, there will be some visuals. Unfortunately, we're not allowed the rights to actually broadcast film clips, but we were able to bring up some poster boards and some classic shots from the time these great movies were being shot. So there'll be a little bit of a visual component to this program as well.
Nice. May 20th and 21st at the Paramount Theatre.
This weekend, it's coming up pretty close. On Saturday night at 7:30 and a Sunday matinee at 2:30.
Not just popular music, but intense, fun music to play as well as
exactly. The musicians are getting into it as well. I know that several of them are already planning on coming in costume, so you're welcome to come in costume.
All right.
I've got my lightsaber. I'm bringing it along just because.
All right.
Because I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Time to bust out the Darth Vader mask.
Right. Cheers. Yeah.
Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa. It's going to be a great weekend of music.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I sure will. Thank you.